Alhamdulillah for everything.
Alhamdulillah.
Fina or loss, Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, everything God give me.
Yes, guys, hope you're doing well. NH2 here, and today I'm joined by AB. How you doing, brother?
I'm very well, thank you, my bro. How are you? How are
Good,
you?
Alhamdulillah, very good, very good. So we've got a special episode here. We've got arguably the busiest grassroots player. Some call him Neil Maupay of Sunday League. So we've gone down here in London, came from Milton Keynes.
Yeah, long trek.
Exactly. So we're going to get started, go through his story, what got him into the industry, what made him do so well, what made him take over the internet. So, you ready?
Take over the internet,
Yes,
you
you
know.
are.
That's very kind
Being
introduction.
humble, but that's the truth. So, talk to us. Growing up as a kid, how was it? What was it like?
Whoa, that's a broad start. We'll try and narrow it down. I'm UK born and bred, like yourself, dual citizen. You know, we rep two colours.
Yeah.
So proudly British, proudly Algerian as well, and that sort of dynamic growing up. It was always difficult to manage. You know, almost living two different lives, living one life at home, living one life outside. But yeah, alhamdulillah, like I had a very good upbringing. You know, and I was always passionate as an Algerian. You know, they say we got two religions in the country. The first religion is Islam, we're Muslims,
Yeah.
and the second religion is football. So that's
Pretty
what
much,
it is. So growing up in the household, you know, football was something that we were all passionate about. We all loved it. So yeah, I always wanted to do something in and around football. And obviously growing up as a kid, most lads growing up in this country, you ask them what they want to do when they're a kid.
Footballer.
There you go. Exactly. I want to be a professional footballer.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that, I mean, I'm technically a professional footballer. I'm just a professional Sunday League footballer. So, no. So yeah, very blessed upbringing in this country.
That's good. And obviously now we all know what you do, you know, Sunday League content as well. What got you into that kind of industry?
I've actually created content for quite a long time. So like in terms of content creation, I've done different types of content. So in my early 20s, I was actually a PT. So I was a personal trainer in London with some other Algerian lads.
Yeah.
One lad called Idris, one lad called Yusuf, Pro PT. You might have heard of them on Instagram. And we used to create content around that. So we used to, you know, make gym videos, workout videos, that sort of thing. And I always enjoyed content creation, but I always wanted to do something in the football space. I just always thought that nobody cared about Sunday League football or grassroots football or whatever. And I actually saw a podcast from Bedfordshire. Shout out the Bedfordshire Football Podcast, which is unfortunately shut down. So, but hopefully they'll make a return one day. But it made me realize that people actually care about Sunday League football and people care about grassroots football. And it's such a relatable like subject because the majority of people who play football in this country play, this is it. They play low level, local, bog standard football. Yeah. So, you know, you've got the footballing pyramid. That's the pinnacle, of course, but look at the base of it. You know, it's
the foundations.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's such a relatable subject. So I thought, let me just get somebody come and film the games and then we'll figure out how the content looks sort of after that. And here we are. That's yeah.
And in terms of clip farming, a lot of people say the word clip farming. When you get someone to go record your game, how does it work in terms of logistics? Do they record the whole thing and then you get the good stuff out, or what?
So it was like a process that we had to figure out. And I can't talk about the content creation process or AB30 or whatever without my guy in the chair. So a big shout out to Bilal. When I first started this journey, this was, you know, I didn't have any followers at this point. And on my Instagram story, I just put out a post saying, look, I've got this idea to film games and, you know, make Sunday League content and all that stuff. Does anyone want to film? Does anyone want to turn up and follow me around Bedfordshire with a camera playing bog standard Sunday League games? And I had 2 replies. I had one reply from a guy who was like, yeah, I'll do it, but it's going to cost you £150 a game. So I was like, yeah,
No, thank you.
off you trot, mate. And then the second reply was from Bilal. And he basically said, I'm game. Like, let's do this. So we exchanged a few messages. I've known Bilal for many years, many years. But yeah, we exchanged a few messages, like discussed the logistics, how it would work and all that stuff. And what stood out for me was the fact that he said, look, first couple games I'll do them for free, just so we can figure out like how this works, ins and outs, you know, the logistics essentially. So when we first started off, he was just filming on an iPhone, no equipment, no tripod, no nothing. He'd just turn up filming the games on an iPhone, and he wouldn't film the whole game. He would basically, the initial idea of AB30 was to be like a player cam, right?
Yeah.
So he was just going to focus on me and then like clip highlights of my games and all that stuff. And then I would voice over and stuff like that, blah, blah, blah. But then we realized, obviously, you can only get about 30 seconds of highlights out of what you do in a game. You know, the average player only gets a couple of minutes on the ball throughout the game. This is it. So then we started filming games in their entirety, and obviously started relying on other people's techers and skills to bring up the quality. But yeah, so it went from filming clips to filming the entire game. And then when we filmed the entire game, we were able to, you know, like craft a story from it, put highlights together, clip the best bits and that sort of thing. Yeah. So
narrative.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And we were mentioning coming down here that a lot of people, you gave me some advice as well, put it out there, that a lot of people look at people who start things earlier on. You know, you got your 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, already on millions of followers, early fame, but you obviously start things a lot later. Obviously, you look young, obviously, but you still start things
exposing
later.
my unk status here, you know.
So with the idea of starting content at a later age compared to now, would you say you had some sort of urgency, or were you taking things slow, or what?
Look, everything happens in its own time, right? We believe in predestination. Everything is written for us. So every single step in my life that I've taken has led me to this exact moment, right? So you work hard, you put the consistency in, you determine your own urgency at the end of the day. If you want to be, if you want to be urgent about something, whatever age you're at, you'll put the urgency in. For me, the concept started because AB30, and I thought, okay, I'm turning 30 years old. I want to do something here. And it wasn't like a last hurrah, but it was almost like, I want to jump on this content creation journey. I'm seeing a lot of other people be successful in content, and I know that I could get, I just knew that I could get like a certain level of success creating content. I just had to figure out like exactly what it was. So yeah, so in terms of urgency, I didn't really feel an urgency per se, but I knew that it was something that I wanted to do, and the time was now. So I started, and I just remained consistent. You know, I just posted every single day. And I posted for a long time before I got any sort of traction. So yeah, I think the main thing for me in terms of, you know, the timing and everything was just the consistency, like having to remain consistent across a period of time in order to get to where you want to get to.
Fruits.
Exactly.
Yeah. And like you said, with being consistent, a lot of people, I think, hopefully you agree with me here, but a lot of people expect, you know, kind of get rich quick, pretty much. So they post 1 or 2 clips and they expect to be on a couple thousand, 100,000, whatever. Would you say you staying consistent kind of taught you the hard work early on, that you have to stay consistent in order to be at a place where you are now?
It doesn't matter what walk of life you're in. Yeah. Consistency remains the number one thing that will take you to success. Like that is the number one thing that will lead you to success. It doesn't matter if you're a salesman. It doesn't matter if whatever walk of life, content creation, whatever it is, businessman, entrepreneurship, consistency, turning up every single day, turning up on the days you don't want to turn up on. That's what's gonna make you successful. I posted on my TikTok specifically because I'd already built like a very small following on my Instagram. I had like 2,500 followers on my Instagram from the
Previous ventures.
exactly
Yeah.
right. So I had like some sort of foundation on Instagram, but when I started TikTok, it was 0 followers, right? So I'd built up to about 250 followers from friends and family here and there. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like begging people to follow me, like, please follow my TikTok. And then I was posting clips, you know, consistently for 6 to 8 months with like no traction whatsoever. And then 1 or 2 clips started to get a bit of traction and I'd get 20 followers and then 30 followers. And then I think it was, I started the TikTok in July 23. I didn't get my first like viral clip until March 2024, I think. Yeah. So it's like, that's a good few months of posting without anything, you know, before I got, and that only took me up to like 750 followers, 1,000 followers. But then the thing is, once the momentum goes, once the train starts, you know, going, that's it. You just carry on with the momentum. You keep the same formula, keep being consistent, keep turning up, and
you'll win.
That's it, inshallah.
And in terms of Sunday League now, because everyone knows you from Sunday League, your
They
clips, you're this, you're that. And it's very different, obviously, to high league level. Like you said before, it's just regular blokes getting ball, kicking about. How do you prepare for it?
Well, like physically, like
how do you prepare for that to go in a game and do what you do?
Do you know what? I think for me specifically, because I'm getting a bit older now, you know, so I do have to like train a bit and look after myself and watch what I eat and all of that stuff. And especially now that it's become a content thing, it's become a thing that I have to turn up for. Like prior to the content, if I don't turn up for a game, it's not the end of the world, you know, like you drop out, it is what it is. But now it's like, it's kind of like work, right? So I've got to turn up. I've got to, so I look after myself in terms of going to the gym, staying physically fit. But I've always been somebody who's been passionate about, you know, health and fitness and keeping myself in a certain kind of shape. So I didn't really have to change anything, you know,
naturally.
That's it. Like just do the usual stuff. And, you know, I play football most nights a week. I probably play football, whether it's 6-a-side, I'll play on a Saturday and a Sunday, 11-a-side. Monday is probably the only rest day in terms of not playing football. Tuesday night, it's 6-a-side. Wednesday night, it's like 8-a-side. Thursday, Friday night, small-sided games as well. And then into the weekend again. So yeah, that kind of keeps me ticking over during the week. But yeah, nothing out of the ordinary, you know, like any crazy Khabib workouts in the mountains and all of that stuff. None of that sort of training regime. Nah.
Coffee in the pitch.
That's to be honest with you, pre-workout, and I need to lay off the stuff because I have enough caffeine as it is. Algerians, we love our coffee. You see me sipping coffee here. That's it. Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, I need to lay off the caffeine. Give my ticker a bit of a rest, to be honest with you.
I mean, that's why they call you busiest grassroots.
Busy. Listen, I'm busy.
Always.
That's it. Busy on the pitch, busy off the pitch. Yeah. Constantly talking, constantly playing, man. I'll play any game. Literally, I'll play any game. A lot of people DM me, invite me to random games, and I turn up. Like, I'll play any game. I don't care what level it is. I don't care if it's a low level. I prefer it when it's a high level because, you know, a lot of people talk smack in the comments and they say you're this and you're that and whatever. And when I turn up, I can hold my own. You know, I can hold my own. So yeah, man, I enjoy any level of football, any game.
You'll be there.
I'll be there.
We will be there.
We will be there.
Yeah, exactly. And in terms of, you said obviously talking, people like to talk. You like to talk as well in terms of being called the Ragebait artist. So is that an act or does it just come naturally?
Do you know what it is? When I was younger on the pitch, I used to get so rattled. Yeah, I'm talking, you know, that Algerian rage used to come out. Yeah, like people would
headbutt.
literally those kind of levels. I used to get sent off like very regularly in a season, a few red cards a season, and I used to be the victim of it until I think I turned like 25, 26, and I was like, do you know what? I could actually use this to my advantage. Instead of being a victim, I'm going to be the perpetrator. I'm going to be the one who does it. So yeah, I just started to like take a step back, relax, started to enjoy the game, started to, you know, talk a bit more, see if I could get a few nibbles. And then it just becomes like a natural part of the game. I think in terms of like the chat where it's like organization and man on time, all of that stuff, like I think that communication on a football pitch is a skill that is underused and is undervalued. And I know a lot of people in the comments say, you know, oh, you just talk for the sake of it or whatever. But communication on the football pitch for me is like a 12th man, right?
Essential, yeah.
Play a game in silence and then play a game when you're talking, and you will see the difference. Yeah, like it is leaps and bounds difference. So yeah, in terms of like the S-housery, the, you know, trying to get people annoyed, that was a learned craft. It took a few years to get there.
Arts.
That's it, the dark arts. And we accumulated certain tactics here and there. But yeah, it's most certainly not an act. And you know, like, don't get me wrong, there are some times where I just turn up and I'm like, you know, my head's full of whatever, full of life. And I'm just like, you know, I'm just gonna play. And I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna play. Just keep my head down and play. But now obviously if I turn up to a game and I'm not talking, people are like, oh yeah, you know, he's not like that in real life, is he? And it's like, just give it a rest. Give it a rest, man. Let me have a day off at least.
Fishing.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, nah, it's definitely not an act. I mean, if I played a small-sided game against my nan in the back garden, yeah, I'd give her a bit of chat as well, to be fair.
She'll get rattled as well. God, your fellow rattles his nan.
Come on, your ma, I love you if you're watching.
Yeah. And in terms of like you said, obviously you like to get people rattled, and also in terms of social media, what I figured out, and I'll expose myself here in the comments as well. Anyone watching from TikTok, what I used to do when I posted my first couple clips in terms of views and the ones that went well, I log into another account, comment something horrible, like for example, if I did one with player who plays for Leeds, I'd comment something bad about Leeds, and all the Leeds fans start talking. Do you think that's a good tactic in terms of attention? Because we are in an attention economy, right? Attention is what keeps the cog kind of turning. So do you think that's helped you a lot?
Do you mean the like rattling?
Yeah, just getting people talking, whether good or bad.
Absolutely. Like for me, the real traction comes from the people who dislike my content, or they don't like the antics. So that's where the real traction comes from. I will never forget the first time I went viral, but it was on a video that like, yeah, it didn't paint me in the worst light, but it was real. Like the thing about my content is I will never hide anything, right? If I have a bad game or if I lose my head, I'm posting that content, because like if somebody loves it, great. It pushes it out to the algorithm. If somebody hates it, great. It pushes it out to the algorithm. Do you know what I mean? It's win-win. And it's like, if you're in this content game, you need to understand you're not in it to make friends. You're not in it to, you know, please people, to be the most liked person. You know, you're in it for engagement. You're in it for, you know, to play the algorithm essentially. So I remember the first video where I posted and it didn't paint me in the best light. And I posted it just before I went to the gym. I got to the gym, I started my session or whatever. And about 15 minutes into my session, I picked up my phone and it was going crazy.
9+.
Yeah, literally. And then I opened TikTok and I was reading some of the comments. I was like, wow, these are brutal. Yeah, like some of the trolls really started crawling out of the cracks and everything. But then I realized, you know, that post hit like 2 million views in the end or whatever. I got X amount of 1,000 followers off of the back of it. So I'll take it. Exactly.
And you obviously talked about that and how it worked. And when that happened and you got all those comments, all that interaction, were you like, this is working, I'll do more of that?
That is when I realized what the game is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I think when there's a certain, when you cross a boundary in social media, like you could be Mother Teresa on the platform and people will still find hate.
There's
like
always someone.
there's always somebody who's upset with what you put out there. But I was posting consistently. I was getting like reasonable levels of engagement, you know, in the tens of thousands of views and that sort of thing. So it was like some content was performing well. But then when I, you know, crossed that line and I started annoying people essentially in the comments, that's when I realized, okay, cool. Like we got to play the game a bit here. And I've got to put myself in the firing line. Like, and when you do that, it pays off. It works. So that's the thing with social media. You turn up consistently, like, and again, this is applicable to any walk of life, right? You turn up consistently every single day until you figure out some sort of formula to whatever it is. Yeah. If you're a salesman and you have a £20,000 a month sales target, you make as many calls as you can in a day to book as many meetings. And then off the back of those meetings, you will sign X amount of deals. So then you will get to a point where you're like, right, in order for me to sign that one deal, I had to sit 3 meetings. I had to make 50 phone calls in order to do that.
Do the maths.
So that's your formula. Now you know I have to make 50 phone calls to sign one deal. So if you want to sign 2 deals, you've got to make 100 phone calls, etc., etc. And then when you figure out what really works, then you can refine your formula. You know, this approach worked for me, that approach didn't work for me. Let me cut that out. Let me use that more. Same game for social media. You know, figure out the formula, be consistent, push out as much as possible. And the beauty of social media now, you have access to so much analytics and data. They tell you what works. You know, They tell you this is what the people love, this is what they don't love. Just do more of what the good stuff they love. Do you know what I mean?
And in terms of analytics, like you said, you've obviously got to study the game, study the algorithm. And I always see, you know, when you say you post every day in terms of that, and you only play a couple, 5-6 times a week, and you only get content maybe from your Saturday, Sunday games. How do you get that many posts out just from 2 days of footage and every day just carry on posting? Is that like a secret sauce or what?
It's tough. And again, like, before I turned up today, I was messaging Bilal because Bilal does he does everything in terms of creative process. Now, like, there was a point where I was doing some editing, he was doing some editing. When we made the crossover to the YouTube game this season, his main focus was the long form. So I'd like managed the short form stuff. But you wouldn't believe how much content you can get out of a 90-minute game. And you just have to be creative with it. You can just do match highlights. Cool. Let's focus on match highlights. You can think of creative things, moments that needed VAR, Sunday League funny moments, Sunday League horror tackles, aggressive challenges, you know, 60 seconds of grassroots handbags, you know, all of these things. You can get these clips out of a game. And that's like just off the cuff, 5 subjects there. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, and I tell you what as well, ChatGPT. Yeah, I'm breaking the fourth wall here. ChatGPT. Yeah. Oh my God. Literally just talk to it like it's your friend. I need advice. I need ideas. I need this. Yeah, exactly.
Help me out.
Exactly. But sometimes all you need is a little bit of inspiration, a little bit of a prod in the right direction. And then boom, you take it, use it.
It's your best friend sometimes.
There you go. Honestly, I've been rinsing it the last couple of weeks. To be honest,
ChatGPT more than people.
Yeah,
believe it or not. I'm literally you know the new voice phone call feature to ChatGPT.
Yeah.
I'm walking to the gym and I'm asking it, "Hey ChatGPT, I've got these guests lined up. What do you think I should do?" And it carried me through uni as well. Forget about podcasts.
Yeah.
Coursework. Don't kick me out. Coursework. Get ideas, right? I didn't copy paste.
Yeah,
get ideas,
of course,
and then mix them up.
You rewrote it, didn't you? Like, you didn't copy it word for word. But I do think nowadays, like, universities, they must have some sort of AI tools that like clock
catching up.
Of course.
2021 unpatched method. I remember my mates used to do, and this is, you know, outside of podcasts, outside of football, they used to do business BTech, PE BTEC. And obviously, as you guys watching, many of you younger audience, with BTEC, it's mostly coursework, isn't it? And ChatGPT just came out. So what they used to do, Yep.
Copy, paste.
distribute to the teacher, the markers, whatever. And that was unpatched straight after COVID or whatever. But people catch up. You know, we're always adapting. And let's talk about adapting here in terms of you. You went from playing in the fortress, right, with bumps, grass, you know, pit holes, moles in the floor. And then a couple of weeks ago, you were at the Emirates in Stamford Bridge. So how on earth do you make that jump from, you know, street ball pretty much to playing in the finest stadiums in England?
There's no secret. That I wish I had like a step by step. Like, I will be honest with you, I have no right. Like, I have no right to be
being humble here.
to be gracing any of these pitches, any of these stadiums, anything like that. Like, let's put it out there. Yeah. People think because I talk some sort of a way on the pitch that I think I'm this kind of level of football. I know what level of footballer I am. Yeah. Let's be realistic here. I'm not trying to fool anyone. Like, but in my honest heart of hearts, I'll step on the pitch with anyone. Like, I will step on the pitch with anyone. I will get ruined on a football pitch. I don't care. I will take it. It's part of the game. As Maher said, it's part of the game, isn't it? Like, you know, I will get ruined. I don't care. And I will still talk and I will still, you know, chat till the cows come home. But like, again, it just comes back to that consistency thing. Like, those specific games that you talk about. So I played at the Emirates. I played at St. Mary's. And that was through the Celebrity Soccer charity matches. A big thank you to Kevin Cooper for involving me in those games. But that was just, I played a few of those charity matches with those guys. And then those opportunities arose. And, you know, I take them with open hands. And I think it's just about putting yourself out there in as many places, you know, never be afraid to try something new. Like these celebrity soccer matches, I think the first one I got invited to was in Coventry Sphinx. And it was just a game off the cuff. I got asked, do you want to play in this game? I thought, yeah, why not? Let's go and play. And then, you know, I spoke to Kev, the guy who runs it, afterwards. And he said, look, mate, I've got a whole timetable of games. Let me know what you can do. And I was like, if it involves a football,
I'm in.
I'm there. Yeah. So I literally just played like pretty much back to back, and it fell perfectly in line with the end of the season as well. So for me, it was like the games of the season had ended and the charity match season had started. So it was perfect. And listen, Qadar Allah, yeah.
God's best planners.
This is it. Like, I remember at 17 years old, 16, 17 years old, praying to God, no joke, let me play at the Arsenal ground. One day, let me play at the Arsenal ground. In my mind, I'm thinking I'm going to play for Arsenal at the Arsenal ground back in those days. Of course, it's not meant to be, you know? But look, one day, subhanAllah, you know, thinking back all those many, many years ago, and it did finally happen. So it's like,
here we are. Yeah.
No secret sauce, man. Just believe, pray, work hard, and trust in the number one. That's my advice.
And one thing I remember that I learned going to, because I'm obviously every Jummah, you know, they have a khutbah, right? I'm tapping into the religious side of NH2 now, but I heard this thing, some guy was saying that when you make a dua, right, there's 3 possible options. Number one is obviously, let's say, for example, you pray to go play in the Emirates, right? The number one is it happens straight away, right? I'm sure you've probably heard this before.
Yes, sir.
And number 2 is he prevents something bad from happening. Let's say, I don't know, the next week you're going to get clattered by Keith. He's going to break your ankle, right?
Yeah.
God, you know, didn't make that happen. Now's your dua kind of being transferred into that. And the third one is he doesn't reward you in this life, but he rewards you in the hereafter. So either way, you're winning.
Yeah, 100%.
And you could apply that elsewhere as well.
I think, and to quickly translate for some of the maybe non-Muslim listeners or viewers, the Friday sermons at Friday prayer, right? And it's almost like, yes, I'll answer it now for you. Yes, but not now. So I'll delay it for you. And I've got something better for you. Do you know what I mean? Like,
that's it, in a nutshell.
So that's like those 3 options. And it's all about mentality again. Like, when you don't, sometimes when you pray for something and it doesn't come your way, you think, oh, why haven't I got this or whatever? Like you said, it could have prevented you from being harmed in some sort of way, or, you know, so it's all about mentality. And I think for me, mentality is key. Again, like you have to, it's not to say that I don't struggle sometimes with, you know, keeping my mentality in check. Everyone does, right? But it's all about refreshing the perspective, coming back and just knowing that, you know, everything, again, this is what we believe. Everything is written, you know, this is what's been ordained for us. If it's a struggle, it's ordained for me. If it's you know, a blessing, it's ordained for me. Like all of these things are tests anyway. So
yeah, that's the truth. And in terms of mentality as well, there's another thing I've heard. I'm hearing a lot of things from a lot of different people, but mentality is pretty much the only thing you have control over. Because let's say with me, for example, I told you about my December crisis, right? I controlled, obviously. I found a guest. I'm not going to name anyone, obviously, but I did my bit, right? I came in, I did this, I did that. At the end of the day, it's up to him. If he wants to turn up or if he wants to do this, you can only control yourself. You can't control others, right? You control your emotions. The opponents, they don't control theirs. That's why they lose their head and you get clips, right? So that's
a good way of looking at it, for sure.
Yeah.
I think like you say, in terms of mentality, you can only control, like you can only worry about what you can control, right? If it's out of your control, like don't worry about it. Do you know what I mean? Like if it's something I can control, if it's something I can change, then change it, do something about it. But if it's not something you can change, if you can't control the outcome, you know, then leave it and just wait, just see what happens.
Yeah. And in terms of creation as well, we're going to go back to the creator thing. A lot of people say, right, this isn't directed at you, but in terms of just in general for creators, do you do it for the love of the game or do you do it for clout, let's say, so to speak?
Clout. I tell you what, I most certainly don't do it for clout. It's a tough one, right? Because obviously you kind of, I say I don't do it for clout, right? Like I wouldn't be posting if I didn't want engagement, right? Like, of course I want engagement and I want to succeed in the game, but I'm not somebody who's like, who needs clout to exist or, you know, survive or to thrive on or whatever. I have a family, you know, that I look after and I provide for. I enjoy quiet time with my family, you know, and all of that stuff. Like I do have occasions where people come up to me, oh, AB, can I get a picture and all of that stuff, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I'm more than happy to do that stuff, but I'm not somebody who like yearns for that attention and all of that stuff.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm here to play the game.
Yeah.
You know,
Let's put one there.
That's it. I'm here to play the game and to put the content out there and to win off of that. And, you know, it's all about, it's all a journey, man. It's all a journey in all honesty, right? Like it started a certain type of way and it's most certainly not how it is when it first started. So it's just about enjoying the journey. Like I always think if you're doing something for the end goal, then you're not going to enjoy it, right? So if you are pursuing a certain job role or pursuing a certain career path because it makes you lots of money, then you're not going to enjoy it because like you're just chasing the end game, right? But, and I know it's a cliche and I hate using cliches, but sometimes they're so true. You enjoy the journey, right? The man who enjoys, what's the exact saying? I think
walk rather than destination.
That's it. The man who enjoys the journey rather than the man who enjoys the destination will walk further or something like that. Yeah, we'll get further in life. Because if you enjoy the journey and you enjoy the process and all of that stuff, the end game comes, the result comes, you know. So if you want, like, if you enjoy content creation and like you want to pursue it as a career, you'll make money off of it like one day, but just enjoy the process. Like love the game, love the process, and the fruits of the labor come. But if you're just like focused on the money, focused on the end game, you won't last very long.
You won't, no.
That's for sure.
So you're gonna give up before, because you're like,
oh yes,
where's my fruits?
Yeah, and let me tell you, A, the money doesn't come straight away, and B, it's not that major. So like you've got to grin and bear hard times as well. Like you've got to go through certain periods too. So enjoy the process, love the process. you know, instead of the destination.
I do love a trench sesh.
Yeah.
Headstone, clip farming. Harry, you know about trenches, don't you? All my university mates are like, "Oh, you going trenches again?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Getting your head
know.
down, and that's it, man.
Exactly.
Like, just enjoy it. Like, take pleasure in the tough times and working hard. And yeah, absolutely, man. I agree with that 100%.
And also, as an Algerian, two fellow Algerians,
Mm-hmm.
we obviously, it's in our pretty much culture to work hard. Obviously, you know, your parents probably came from broad-minded as well. They work their socks off to provide for us. And when you go back to Algeria, you also recognize as AB30. Do you do anything there, or you just take time off, go offline? And
That is one thing that I love about Algeria. Yeah, so I went last year, and my platform wasn't as big. I probably had like just under 100K followers across all platforms. So I think on TikTok I was like 80, 90K. So almost everything was off TikTok back then. Now it's like a bit more spread out. But yeah, when I go to Algeria, I'm not recognized at all for content. And that's it. Exactly, right? So I'm the guy from the UK or whatever, or that's my cousin from the UK, or that I'm that guy, right? But like, for example, when I went to go and visit my wife's side of the family out in it's on the other side of the country. I'm from the capital, from Algiers. She's from Skikda. And I went out there, and it's like a village. It's not like some village in the mountains in the middle of nowhere, but yeah, it's like
no Khabib.
this. Yeah. Not quite Khabib levels, but it's like it's a small village. It's a small area.
Yeah.
And when I was there, I was like, bro, I told you I play like 5 to 6 times a week. I can't go from playing 5 to 6 times a week to no times a week, right? So I was like, of course I've taken my football boots with me and everything.
Yeah.
Like I say to her cousin, I'm like, get me into a game, yeah? Get me in cage ball. And he's like, bro, it's levels here. And I'm like, I know, get me in, innit? Like, I don't care if I embarrass myself, I just have to play. And like the thing I love about Algeria is, you know, whether it's a village, whether it's a city, it doesn't matter. The cage is like one of the most protected assets, right? The turf is decent, you know.
Local treasuries.
That's literally the floodlights come on. Bro, no lie, we had about 300-400 people around the cage watching atmosphere. And this is no type of level. This is like a 7-a-side game. We had a team come in from, it was like a league, 7-a-side league. We had a team from like a neighboring village come to play against us. And like the jokes thing was, they put a announcement on the village Facebook thing to say, we've got a foreigner, not a foreigner, but like a foreigner, basically.
An external visitor.
Yeah, coming to play for us. This
behavior, guys.
Yeah. So they were like, and then in the comments, people were like, oh, you're scouting from this and that, and this is against the rules and all that stuff, and friction was building. And when the guys came from the neighboring village, it was an Aggie game. Like it got heated, and I was so gutted that Bilal wasn't there, because it was like 2-2. I played okay, but I'll be honest with you, I was blowing. Like it was a hard level. And the match got abandoned because somebody from the opposition team, from the from the neighboring village, punched up the ref. So yeah, they got into it. The ref and the player got into it. Then they locked us in the cage because the supporters from the neighboring village were trying to get into the cage, and it was just a mess. It was
Clip farm would have fed generations.
I'm telling you,
generations.
I would have gone pew straight into the ceiling.
God.
But no, like football is a culture out there. It's legit. It's a way of life, man. But yeah, I do love Algeria because it is like a chance just to take a step back and just switch off for a bit. Yeah.
2-3 years skig, don't forget.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, trust. Put a ball at his feet and that's it. Forget.
Yeah, the half ball.
The half.
The streakers play with that. It's like plastic. I don't know what they do. Half. You got red, you got blue.
Swear.
Yeah, and they get rocks as goalposts. Said this before with another guest I had here. Rocks
as goalposts. That's a standard.
Barefoot. If you step in glass,
normal.
cigarette copy, back in the game.
That's
Get back in the game. Same with me with Algeria. So obviously I go there. You're lucky if you have mobile data, let alone Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So was Bilal in the trenches back home fixing things for you, or did you just completely not forget, but take a kind of day off?
Nah, like even now, like we're in the off-season period, right? So I don't have that constant stream of content coming in, but like throughout the season, we did obviously account for this period. So we thought, you know, we'll keep some stuff to the side. I mean, the season's been over for like, what are we, June right now?
Quite a while.
Season's been over since May, right? So like we had to go through May, the whole of May, the beginning of June, and like preseason starts next week, the week after, right? So we'll start getting like game footage again from next week, the week after. So we've had to like suffer this small period. Shortage, exactly. So like clipping little bits and all of that stuff, repurposing content, but we did keep some stuff back. So throughout May, we still had content. So last season, it was a similar sort of thing where we were just trying to repurpose and just keep it ticking over so that it doesn't like, because obviously social media, if you just stop and you don't post for weeks,
gotta build that up.
That's it. Kills the momentum, and then you got to get going again. And we did feel that to like a certain extent last season, but not entirely, because we didn't completely stop. We just went through like, you know, maybe a week where we didn't post, and then back for a couple of days, and then a week, and then back for a couple of days. This time round, it's pretty much been every day or every other day at least. Content's still been coming out. The only platform that we've been a bit quiet on is YouTube, because YouTube it's a weekly upload, and you know it's long form, so you've got to have good content. You can't just like stitch something together and put it out. It's a tough game, but
you got to keep always the cog turning.
That's it.
I'm trying to build up a reserve as well, a little clip reserve for when I go to Algeria, schedule posts, whatever.
100%.
Podcast as well, slap on your YouTube as well, why not?
There you go.
Get that clip shorted. And those are obviously one of the obstacles, you know, being offline, having, you know, no new clips coming in pretty much. Did you face any other obstacles in your journey towards?
I suppose like one obstacle that I face, and this is a consistent thing, is the whole idea behind the content is that it's authentic, it's real, it's match day footage, right? Like, and that will never be, I suppose that will never be a mega viral thing, because you can't orchestrate content, right? Like, I don't know if I'm going to turn up and it's going to go off and it's going to be handbags and people are going to kick off, or if it's going to be the most pleasant game that you've ever played and, you know, the opponents are really nice and there's no goals scored or whatever. So it's like the obstacle in it is the creative side of it, in the sense of you have to make a story out of whatever you film. Right. So it's like the easy ones are if you turn up, you slap an opponent 5-6-0, somebody absolutely loses their head, there's a red card, somebody jumps in 2-footed, somebody pushes some. Those are the easy ones, because
eating good that day.
There you go. The story tells itself. The hard ones are where it's a windy day. The quality of the football is horrible anyway, but it's even worse that day, right? There's no goals, there's no chat, there's nothing like. So I think that's one of the obstacles, and that's part of being a creator, right? That's the create side of things. You still have to find a story. You still have to create a story. You still have to make something that people are interested in watching. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
you never know what's going to happen, because especially with football, with podcasts, I have it a bit easy, not completely easy, but I know you're turning up. We're going to go over X, Y, Z. But you're turning up to a pitch, you don't even know the opponents. 100%. Whatever happens. Like, and in terms of the kind of creation side as well, in terms of clipping and getting your content as well, would you ever go into something other than recording Sunday League and football, or is your whole persona just ball, kick, clip?
No, I think this is the next step. The next step for me is branching out and trying new things. The issue with algorithms and stuff nowadays is that obviously I've built up a certain following off of a certain
act.
Yeah, like a certain type of content, right? So it being Sunday League football highlights and all that. Like people don't come up to me and like, oh, you're that guy that presents stuff or whatever. They come up to me, oh, you're that Sunday League guy, aren't you? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's like when you're known for a certain thing and the algorithm, you know, has played to that and you've got success out of that. If I go and post something about, I don't know, knitting or something like that tomorrow, yeah, the
So if you
algorithm,
did,
yeah, the algorithm's gonna go, what is this? What? And just like send it through the floor. So it's like it's about being smart about how you sidestep and all of that stuff. So I've always wanted to get into like presenting roles, getting my face on the camera more, face to camera talking styles, maybe a bit of punditry, you know, that sort
Oh,
of
nice.
thing. And like even podcasts, I enjoy coming on podcasts and, you know, talking about stuff, talking about football, the game. My ball knowledge is not amazing, so maybe not. So I'd have to study for a few weeks if I was going to turn up on one of those. But yeah, like I think it's just, and you know, given the fact that I'm not getting any younger, so I'm not going to be able to play football for too much longer.
knees getting rusty.
Do you know what? The knees are okay. It's the ankles. I got Harry Kane ankles. I got glass ankles. I can't like I can't put my foot through a ball. When people talk about my shot power sometimes and they're like, you know, you got weak. I can't hit a ball. Like you have to understand. There's zero ability to do it because my ankle's just giving in, man. So like there is an element of that I'm thinking ahead of. But yeah, I think it's just about being smart about when to sidestep and like becoming a personality as opposed to like just a content creator. And you know, it's about talking to people in the sector, getting advice from the right people. And that's one thing as well. Like people don't like to give secrets to the trade out and all of that. A lot of people keep it close to their chest. So it's about surrounding yourself with the right people. Helping people, not in the sense of I'll do something for you, you do something for me, but like that naturally happens if you're, you know, helpful to other people, people like remember you as
Exactly.
you know, somebody who did help them out. So there's that as well. But definitely not planning on doing Sunday League highlights until I'm 60 years old, basically, you know.
Back in my day,
Yeah,
yeah,
it literally walking football and then one's there. But nah, we'll see. I'm open. And like this is a bit of advice that I'd give to youngsters coming up or whatever. This is a little golden nugget. Don't feel like you have to stick rigid on the same path, whatever. And I think this is the thing about like this is a tough thing when it comes to education. You know, when you're 15, 16, you're given this responsibility that you have to choose these subjects to study for your A levels to then set you up for this subject that you're going to study at uni, which is then going to be the career that's going to be
flat
for the rest of your life, right? When in reality, something that you love when you're 15, 16 in the sense of like school or education might not be something that you'll enjoy when you're 18, let alone when you're 30, 40, 50, all the way into your career. So it's like, don't be afraid to try something else. Like when I was in school, I thought I was going to do sports science. I didn't study that at uni in the end. I studied waste management, believe it or not, right? So I studied environmental science and I went into waste management. I thought that would be, again, that bit of advice that I said, don't chase the destination. I was looking at careers or sectors that had the highest paid roles in them. And waste management was like quite far out. Always need to collect rubbish. That will always be a need in this life, right? So I went into that, absolutely hated it. I did not enjoy it at all. I got a graduate scheme in that sector. I worked it for a couple of years. I thought, no, I'm not doing this. What am I passionate about? I'm passionate about fitness and health. I became a personal trainer. Really enjoyed that for a little while. But for whatever reason, I decided, no, I'm not going to do this. I started my own business. I worked with my brother for many years. So I was doing that for quite some time. And then I started the content creation thing on the side of like you know,
This is a hobby kind of thing.
that was it. That was it. Yeah. And then when I started to see the traction and the trajectory, I thought, right, if I really want this to go somewhere, I have to focus my energy on it and start going at it on all platforms. So not just posting on TikTok here and there, batter out the TikTok, batter out the Instagram, batter out the YouTube, batter out the Facebook, be active on every
out.
single platform. And that's where I am today. So it's like, don't be afraid to sidestep. Don't be afraid to segue. You can always get a job. Like you can always go and work and, you know, and go into any sector really. Like, so it always falls back on worrying about what people think. Yeah. Like people don't make decisions or they don't take certain steps in life because they think, oh, but what will people think if I do this? Well, forget it, man. People will always have a certain opinion or whatever, you know? So do what you want to do what you enjoy. And if it doesn't work out, so on to
You
the next
tried,
one,
yeah.
you know, exactly. At least
a
you
job.
tried 100%.
Yeah. And I saw this thing as well that if you do nothing, right, no one's going to talk and you're going to stay at the same space.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do something, maybe someone's going to talk. And if you do good at that, you're up. But if you don't do good, you're still at the same place.
100%.
So either way, just give it a shot. Try this podcasting, try this gym thing, like you said, business, waste management, everything, right? And this worked out for you. You're doing well. Those who talked before, they're still same place, aren't they?
Mate, like literally, I'm going to have to shout out a good power of mine, Ali bin Harris. He does like self-improvement videos and all of that stuff specifically for men. And it was like one of his videos that got me to like, I was like, do you know what?
To lock in.
I'm gonna lock in. I'm gonna do this. Yeah. He was like, a year from now, if you don't start that thing that you want to start, yeah, a year from now, you're gonna be like, a year's gonna pass anyway.
You're
yeah.
older. That's it.
So you might as well spend that year doing what you want to do, putting time and effort and energy into that venture that you want to do. Because if you don't, a year's gonna pass anyway. So
Exactly.
you might as well. What are you gonna lose by trying it out? So just go for it, man. Like the worst case scenario is that you fall flat on your face and you learn a load of lessons so that the next time you try something, you know what not to do or what to do. And
Exactly.
yeah, man.
Escaping the matrix of AB.
Never that. We're always stuck in the matrix, unfortunately. But we just try our best, man. Every day we just try to be a better version than ourselves the day before, and that's it, man.
Exactly. And either way, like you said earlier, with the whole, you can always get a job. Even if this whole NH2 empire collapses, right? I've still got uni. When I come back, I live with my parents anyways. I've still got a roof over my head. It's not that like I can lose everything because I'm young. You're young as well.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you maybe have family, you have kids, but if things doesn't work out, you can still do something, right? It's not it's the last hope. So just try it, man. And in terms of Sunday League now, let's talk about kind of rapid fire questions. What was kind of a crazy moment at Sunday League that was like, this is Sunday League and it doesn't happen at the Emirates?
Oh, this is Sunday League. And
You got a lot of moments as well. I think,
bro, there is so many times. Do you know what? I think every week you turn up to a game and there's just something that reminds you like, this is so Sunday League. I tell you what, this season, at the end of the season, we had a midweek game and we were traveling to Luton. So bearing in mind, we're a Bedfordshire league. So our Saturday team's based in Bedford. It was a 6:15 kickoff, one of the last games of the season. And we turned up to the game and we had like 8 players to start the game because there were players that were en route and they were running late. And we had a squad of like 13. So like full team and 2 subs, maybe 3 subs, I don't know. But half of the squad was running late. And we started the game with 8 players, right? And this was at a point where like, I'm at the end of the season, my body is falling to pieces. Like my right hammy is it's hanging on by a thread. Yeah, it's ready to just go ping. My ankles are gone, like literally. I've watched that video back and I just couldn't believe that I was even on the pitch because I'm like hobbling around. So it was like 7 players essentially. Yeah, we turned up with 7 players or 8 players even, started the game. We didn't concede with 8 players on the pitch. As soon as we had 11 players on the pitch, we conceded straight away. But then we finished the game like we drew 1-1 that game. So, but it's just little things like that. And I think that's what people love about the content, because everyone who's played grassroots football, Sunday league football, local league, Saturday league, have all experienced those kind of little
Mishaps.
exactly. So that's what makes it so beautiful and relatable, I think.
It doesn't happen at the Emirates though.
There,
11
listen,
subs, reserves.
exactly. There's always going to be some sort of squad, even if they have to get the kids in. But yeah, you wouldn't even find a single divot at the Emirates, let alone some of the potholes and some of the pitches that we play on. So
A little tractor going across the pitch. We're
all
playing
of
a
these
game. What are you
things,
doing, mate?
somebody's dog running across the pitch, you know, this it's all part and parcel.
Chaos is good though. We love a bit of chaos.
100%. It adds
Fold up a bit.
that,
Fold up.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
VAR in Sunday League. What do you think? If that happens, catastrophe?
Bar, mate, the game is gone regardless. Yeah, whatever step we take, the game is gone. One thing I would say, yeah, is that like this social media world that we live in, I think this is me putting it out to the FA right now.
Official statement.
Official statement. This is get ready for the press conference now. But I think, look, in a world where social media is so like prominent and so many eyes are on social media, I think football needs to like adapt with the times and get with the times a bit more. Like the FA could benefit so much by working closely with not just like me in terms of grassroots, but like there's so many grassroots teams that have channels that upload their clips, that, you know, they put eyes on grassroots football. The FA has an initiative to increase participation in the game. So VAR in Sunday League, like we say it as a joke, but really so many teams film their games. So many teams clip their games and put it up on social media. Like the FA or the game as a whole could benefit by working with these grassroots teams like much closer and basically putting the game on the map. Like from my content alone, I get like, since I've started, I've literally had thousands of messages or comments from people saying, "Oh mate, I'm getting back into football because of your content," or how do I, like, people don't even know how to play for a local team. That's a madness.
It's an obstacle.
It's an obstacle. How do I play for a local team? Oh, like if we did these a frequently asked questions segment, you know, how do I play for a local team? Go on, like for me, an easy route is to go on the local county's Facebook group and put a post out there
Drop a message.
and say, 18 years old. My name's Amin. I play centre back or up front or whatever. Are there any teams looking for me? You literally get the whole league underneath in those comments. Yeah, this is where we train. This is where that train. But that's just like one way of doing it. And it's not like an official route. Like if we had official routes for people to access grassroots football,
Let's get engagement, get people down.
that's it. And I
It's
think
community at the end of the day.
this is it. And I think having that link with grassroots teams and social media and all, like getting with the times, man. We've got to get with the times because it's going like
It's going left.
that's it.
Yeah.
Right now there's like participation is down. Like if you compare it now with 5-10 years ago, so many leagues have folded, so many teams have folded because like players that have carried these teams for however long, they get old, they retire, and then nobody wants to take responsibility. So we've got to like spark that love in the game, and social media is just a way of doing it, man.
Yeah. And in terms of refereeing as well, I feel like it's kind of links to what you're saying. There's less and less referees because of obviously all the pressure on them, abuse, etc. And in Sunday League, do you see it the referees kind of have it worse compared to Prem, or is it just a whole industry?
I think this is so tough. It's so tough to speak on refereeing. Because I've only refereed like friendly games and stuff like that. My next step after my legs give in and I can't keep up with the pace, I'm going to become a referee. Yeah, hands down. And that's another stream of content that would, I think
Slap a GoPro
it
on.
would go off. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, I just think in terms of referees, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Yeah. There's two teams. If you give one team a decision, the other team's not going to be happy with it, and vice versa. Yeah. I've played with great referees. I've played with poor referees. The fact of the matter is, the game doesn't happen without the referee. Yeah. So like, there needs to be a certain level of respect to referees. And I know it's like the cheek and the audacity of this guy sat right here saying there needs to be a certain level of respect for referees. Like, when people watch my content, one thing that you have to take or understand or take with a pinch of salt is I've known some of these refs for over a decade now, right? So
Regular people. Yeah.
if I talk to them in a certain type of way, it's because I know them. Like, I know the threshold I can get away with, you know, and all of that. And they'll turn around to me and be like, Anas, that's enough now. I'll
Cool
be
it
like,
off, mate.
yeah, all right, cool. Sorry. You know what I mean? So I know where to toe the line with them. I never abuse referees. I never, you know, call them. I might question a decision, be like, ref, what's that about? Blah, blah. But never abuse a referee, never put them in a certain type of position. I think at this level, there's no protection for referees. There needs to be more protection at grassroots, hands down. I think there was an initiative where refs was going to test out wearing GoPros.
Yep.
And like, how sad is it that that's what they have to do
Body
in
cam.
order to literally
body cam.
in order to like have some sort of level of protection. But the reality is, a referee turns up on a field on the weekend with two squads of blokes that some of them they don't know. They might know some people in each team or whatever. And I've seen the worst happen to referees at times. And there's been, you know, refs are just like, I'm done with it. You know, that's it. I'm not doing it anymore. So there needs to be like more protection for referees, more support for referees. I think the GoPro initiative like would be great if it was rolled out across the board. But they definitely have it worse off at a lower level, but even at a higher level as well. The issue with the higher level is that like, it's almost like now you've got VAR, you don't have any excuses. Do you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And all of that stuff. So it's like, we're still getting decisions wrong, even with a camera and watching stuff back, because at the end of the day, it's all subjective, right? A decision, somebody looks at a law of the game and they read it and they understand it like that. In comparison to that, it's tough. I don't like to speak on referees too much because it's like they are a crucial part of the game. We have to not abuse them. We have to respect them, but it doesn't mean that we can't question them. Do you know what I mean?
There's a limit.
There is a limit. And yeah, shout out all the referees. Every single referee, it doesn't matter what level you're at. Like, I got so much time for refs because without them, the game just doesn't go.
Imagine the referees in Algeria.
Literally, a guy, I just told you, a guy punched up a ref. Like, it's crazy out there. Yeah,
Getting banned by rocks.
Literally, honestly. So yeah, man, we like across the board, refs. We need to protect them as a species. You know,
Yeah, man.
100%.
Endangered species. Man.
And anyone who says about AB whatever blah blah, don't worry. I'm gonna be a ref one day. You're gonna see that side of me, and it's gonna be even worse than me as a player. So just wait. Be careful what you wish for. Be careful what you wish for.
Now, quick fire Q&A.
Mhm.
All right.
Okay.
So, when you have the mic, do you think you play better or not better?
So when you can hear me on the pitch, because there's a certain misconception when it comes to my content, but I can't really explain how I come to you being able to hear me on the pitch, because if I reveal the secret, then everyone would try and do it. So when you hear me on the pitch, it brings a sort of added level of scrutiny. And even playing with a camera, like, I think even my teammates as well, they feel like they have to perform, like they feel like they can't have a stinker or whatever because it's going on social media. But for me, it got to a point where, well, even if I play like CR7 or Messi, you know, I'll still have somebody saying XYZ in the comments. So I don't really care, to be honest with you, man. Like, in the beginning, it was a bit of a, I have to do something. I have to. Now it's just like turn up, play, and just
Khalas.
That's it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Enjoy it.
And who was a player you looked up to?
Professional, we're talking.
Yeah.
professionally, I have to say, and it's such a cop-out answer, yeah, but if you look at CR7 in terms of like mentality, like that bulletproof mentality is unbelievable. Like to perform and deliver at the highest level. And I know people will talk about the Saudi league like for the last couple of years or whatever, but even still, we've seen in the Club World Cup teams not performing against Saudi teams. So you still have to put respect on Ronaldo's goals at the last couple of seasons, right? But it's just that bulletproof mentality of when you reach the pinnacle, and this is again any walk of life, when you reach the top of something, the only way is down, right?
Maintain it.
You have to maintain it, and it takes a bulletproof mentality, like bulletproof, in order to stay there year on year on year for 2 decades.
Very
Like
much.
over 2 decades.
2005, 2004.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like, in order to maintain that level for so long, the mentality is alien. Like it's but if we're talking about like players that I watched and I loved and I admired like growing up, Zinedine Zidane. Oh my Lord. Like
Art.
Like, and like for some of the youngsters watching, like just go and watch some of his compilations and just watch the game where he played against Brazil in the World Cup. And it was, you know, he'd retired, he came out of retirement for that World Cup, and he's teaching Brazilians how to play football that game. Do you know, like he did some things with the ball that are just illegal. So you got Zidane. I think Henry as a gooner, you know, watching him growing up, and just again so suave with it, some of the stuff that he done with the ball as well. I could reel off so many players, but I'll leave it at those 3.
You're not helping with the unk accusations.
I know, right? Like it's all like Zidane, like back in the day.
Like 6 Zidane, I think my.
Oh, it's bad, but it's back in my day that was football. That's all I can say.
You're moving like that Real Madrid player. Oh, I used to look up to Bobby Charlton.
Oh wow, that is proper unk status. But yeah.
So, final question, I think, to sum up the episode, because I do this for the viewers, I don't do this for myself, I do it for people to learn and benefit. What's one piece of advice from everything you've learned? I ask all my guests this. One piece of advice you've learned from your journey that you'd like to give to the regular Joe watching. What can they learn from you?
The regular Joe watching is that, this is a bit on the spot. I would say you're going to fail. Whatever you do, you're going to fail. Yeah. And I don't mean that in like a negative way or like there's no point of trying because you're going to fail. Like, no, relax. Like, on the other hand, you're going to fail. Like, so don't be afraid to fail. Like, everything you do, everything you try, you're not going to get it perfect. Like, you might be the luckiest person in the world and try the first thing that you try and you get it spot on perfect the first time. But then in my mind, you're the unluckiest, because then that sets you up for failure in the future, right? Fail, get comfortable with failing, get comfortable with taking L's or whatever. I don't even like using the term losing.
Lessons, not learning.
Lessons, exactly. Like, because the more you fail, the closer to success you're going to get. And it's just, again, I know I've used the word so many times on this podcast, but consistency. It's just consistently fail, consistently like get things wrong and learn from them, so that the next time you try something, you know, you can use that lesson and not make the same mistake again and then succeed. Like, I've had a few ventures in my life and I've had varying levels of success, but the fact remains that the stuff that I've remained consistent with, and I've gone head first in, and I thought, well, what's the worst case scenario? You know, what's
It'll pay off, yeah.
That's it, exactly.
Okay.
So get comfortable with failing, be consistent, just enjoy the process. That's
just enjoy them.
That's just enjoy
them.
That's
Cool.
it, man.
Cool. Thank you for that. And I think we've covered everything. I think.
Yeah, man.
Just a bit over an hour. We'll say an hour plus or minus.
We've been yapping.
But you beneficial yap. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for coming down. It's been a pleasure.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me, man. Honestly.
Thank you guys for watching. Hope you took something out of AB's journey. Hopefully not rattled from this video, but you enjoyed something from Grassroots Nil Maupay. It's me, NH2. AB, thank you for watching. Take care.
Alhamdulillah. Always. We know Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.